Hi everyone, welcome to another exciting edition of Words, Images, and Worlds. Delighted on this episode to be talking with comics creator Phillip Russertt. Phillip, thank you for
Hi, how are
jumping
you?
in. I'm good, I'm good. How are you?
Good. You actually pronounced my last name correctly. For some reason, people have trouble with it.
Oh, really?
But
Yeah.
yeah,
Did
yeah.
they try to kind of francophile it like
They tr
Rousseau?
it's either French or Italian, Riserte or Rousser or yeah, that's usually how they go.
Nice. Nice. It's the Colbert Report effect. That's what it is.
Yeah,
Colbert. That's what it is.
yeah, probably.
I love the creative space that you're currently in. All of the art on the wall behind you, the assortment of Justice League characters to the side of you there, and what a creative space to think about comics and stories and creating in. I just use the word creating too many times, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, surround yourself with the energy that you're looking for, right? So to
Mhm.
create, that's the energy you want, and the inspiration of all these different characters that have become myths and legends throughout the years. So it's a nice little haven to go to.
Yeah, yeah. What what led you to the comic space? How did you decide that it was the place you wanted to create?
Well, I'm 51. I've been reading comics, since I saw Uncanny X-Men 115 on a spinner rack in the 70s. But to be honest with you, I was always intimidated by the thought of writing. I had a very vivid imagination, but I was always timid by the thought of writing and intimidated by it. But in 2021, I had gotten very, very sick. It was actually life-threatening sick, and I was in bed for 6 weeks after a week hospitalization. And a month prior, excuse me, I got this image of a character in my head. It just came out of nowhere. There was nothing that I can recall that inspired it. It just popped in my head. So I'm laying there in bed and I'm like, what are you afraid of? It's
Mm-hmm.
just writing. So I started writing I was, researching how to write a comic script properly. I mean, I thought I knew, but I wanted to make sure because I don't like to just jump in. You want to present yourself professionally. And then I just started writing, and in 9 hours, I wrote the first script to my flagship title in bed. And then I just didn't look back. I sent this. I gave the script to my wife, and my wife is one of the sweetest, most humblest people in the world, but she can't lie either, which is a good thing.
Right, right.
You'll know she just cannot lie. She's so bad at it, which is a good thing. So I gave her the script, and I'm sitting there like, oh God, I hope this isn't horrible. And she finishes it, and she goes, "This is really good." Like she was surprised, and she's like, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean it the way it came out." I'm like, no, 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 that's great because that's genuine. I don't want an echo chamber. I don't want to be placated. I need to know. And yeah, she said it was good, and I just kept going.
Nice, nice. And shout out to loving, supporting wives, husbands, partners. That's always beneficial to have honest eyes in your life for sure.
Yeah, I mean, honesty is the only way you get better. If people keep, I don't want to be the person on American Idol that can't sing, but because nobody told me the truth, I'm embarrassing myself.
Right, right. Yeah. Now, tragedy is the book of focus, but you're also welcome to mention other titles. So curious about how the ideas have come together and formed into tragedy.
So, tragedy was the image that popped in my head just arbitrarily out of nowhere.
Mhm.
And I was like, interesting, but I had nothing about her. Um, it was weird. So when I sat down at that writing session to write, I used to watch kids when I was younger, my father's friends' kids. I used to babysit them while I was going to college and stuff. And I was always good at just free telling stories, sit down at the campfire, so to speak, and tell stories. So I was like, you know what? My best approach is just write
Mhm.
because no one's looking at this and it can be changed as much as I want. So don't put any pressure on yourself. Just write and see what comes out.
Yeah.
And I decided the best thing is every time I watch a movie, the movies that engage me the most, at least in this genre, start with some sort of action. They start with some, like mysteriously, you don't know what's going on. You don't know who the antagonist is. You don't even know who the protagonist is, but they're in a situation just to start out. I
Mhm.
was like, so that sounds cool. So I just started writing her in a situation, which in a way was kind of easing me in because I didn't have to delve into her personality. She was just in a situation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so that sprung gave me a springboard to how does she respond to that situation once it's over, which helped me. I was just developing her personality as I was going, which they say right from what you know. A little of her is me, a little of her is my wife, a lot of her is my wife actually. And then it just, I know this sounds silly, but the story was telling itself through me.
Hmm. Hmm.
Like, because I just free flowed and just wrote it, and it just started becoming what it was becoming without any seriously conscious, oh, but I have to get from A to B and do this. And I know that a lot of writers will plot out the main points and how and then connect how you get there. I didn't. I just, as if I was at a campfire telling a ghost story to kids, I just went with it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and that's how I write my scripts actually. I think that's why I don't get writer's block, or if I go in and I don't really know yet, I don't get pressured and I don't feel stumped because there's no pressure. Just enjoy, just write and just
Hmm.
create. You can always go back and change.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you've had the chance with this book and others to collaborate with folks. So, any particular artists, editors, colorists, designers that you'd like to mention?
Ricardo Silva is the
Hmm.
artist on the book, and he's become my family from Brazil. He's a wonderful human being doing beautiful detailed work on the book, and he's so easy to work with. I don't have an ego. Like if you came to me and as an artist and said, listen, I don't know if this works, what if we did this, I would look at it and evaluate it and like, oh, you know what, that's great, let's do it. And he doesn't have an ego.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
if there's an edit, if I say, well, that's not how the script was interpreted, I meant it this way, whatever. He's like, okay, and he changes it, or he'll bounce something off me. Well, what if I did this? And it's a nice collaboration where we both understand our role
Hmm.
and the boundaries and where it crosses with a mutual respect, but our egos are, let's just put out the best book, and it's just a good fit. And then of course I work with colorist Chris Sotomayor, who is a major Marvel DC artist for 30 years, colorist, and his obviously experience is invaluable, and he's just amazing with what he does and his work. And then letterer Jason Meadows, who is another one that if I go, when I started writing, I was putting too much uh, dialogue in one panel, and that's like killing my letterer. But he took it in stride, and we just worked it out as we went on, and which meant a lot of edits again. And these are my fault, but he just went with it. Another guy, no ego. So I'm very lucky to have a great team on that book.
Love it, love it. What are the next creative steps, the projects that you'd like to tackle or that are currently in process?
Well, Tragedy 6 is coming out soon. I have several hundred of the trade paperback boxed up right next to me that have to go shipped out.
Nice.
Um, I have a title every month on Kickstarter this year. I'm also publishing other people that are from overseas that they can't do it in their country, so they do it through me in the American market. And right now, there's a book called Fumigator, which is a really cool sci-fi tale written by Alejandro Rojas
Mhm.
in Cuba, and it's on Kickstarter right now. And the short of it is, it's dystopian future in Havana, Cuba, and nanobots had infected the soil and the land, and they cleaned out most of it, but there's still nanobots around. And the government has an agency with fumigators. They have EMPs and things like that. They go out and they have to clean out these nanobot infections because they also infect humans, turn them into cyborgs, make them go mad. So they become threats.
Mhm.
So if you took like a Judge Dredd, Terminator, Mad Max, you threw all this in a blender and added new, it's kind of what you get. And it's when he presented the script to me, of course, I have to read it and I have to approve or not because I'm throwing my publishing label on it. So I would have to approve. And it was well written. And as much as there's familiarity to other genres, it's its own fresh thing. So, which is great because right now I think we've become stagnant in media where we're regurgitating sequels
Hmm.
or prequels or reboots. So I thought it was a breath of fresh air that I think people will enjoy. So I hope they go out and they pledge it because it's also Alejandro's dream, and I would love to make that happen for him.
Yeah, yeah. And I've seen some of the art on Fumigator out, I suppose, on your page and in different places, and it looks really, really cool.
Yeah, it's a different. Alex Bravo is the artist, and he's got a little bit of a different art take, but it fit perfectly. And Alex actually lives in Cuba also, so it was also great because he knows the landscapes, he knows the land, what it he's from there, he knows the culture. So and then Fabio, he's got like four names. I always forget his name. I feel so bad, but Fabio did the colors, and he did a beautiful job on the colors. So and George with a J Medina did the letters. But we've got a bunch of books. I've got Arcane Syndicate, which is basically the Universal Monsters as a super team, but it's written differently.
Hmm.
And early reviews, beta reading has loved it. I've got something called Displaced, where different historical periods, warriors from those times, a samurai, a Comanche, Indian, Native American, Norse, Viking, they all get time displaced here,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
they're a team for the same government agency that has Universal Monsters. It's its own separate book, and the book really delves around the culture clashes, how they don't get along. Like a samurai of honor is working alongside a Viking that would be deemed as not having honor because he's savage,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
there's a lot of turmoil. And the subtext is, I guess, it was spawned from the fact that I feel like we're not getting along these days in society, and we have to learn
Yeah,
and understand that we're going to have different ideas and views and the way things are going to go, but we don't have a choice but to make it work because we're here together.
yeah,
And that's the main core of the book. But of course, it's superhero action and fun because the agency uses them to deal with global terrorist threats with the promise of finding a way to send them back. But the government has a different idea. They're not being totally honest. Um, so it's fun. It's not preachy by any means, because again, that's just the subtext of it. But it just came to me as an interesting story. I have Diary of Dread Volume 2, which is a magazine that's homage to like the EC comics, the early EC
love
comics
it.
and Tales
Hmm.
from the Crypt and stuff, which that came in, and I have hundreds of those books that have to go out from Volume 1. And I could go on and on. I have other books, Dynamics, which is it's like a Pixar book. It's for families. It's my family with superpowers. Basically, it has humor, action, but it's more wholesome for everyone. But it's
Hmm.
where adults can enjoy it too. Withered, which is angels and demons, but it's more involved because time is not a construct of the human mind or a measurement. It is actually a malevolent being that is imprisoned God, and that's why the world is the way it is. And it's slowly satiating itself off of our life essence. That's why we grow old, we wither, and we die.
Well, how interesting. How interesting. That's cool.
Yeah, and it focuses around Joshua Brightson, who is a man that in a short story prose book I wrote, he's on his deathbed and he finds all this out before he dies. He was being tested to see if he was up to the task, and he's knighted and becomes an angel before he's consumed by this thing.
Hmm.
And because there was a great war and the angels were wiped out, there's only three archangels surviving. Um, so they're trying to bolster up again, but they have to be people of faith that they're fighting for the right reason. So it's got a little Game of Thronesy stuff going on, with the devil and Baal and all those demons. There, everyone's vying for their position, and then it's got that human side. I always try to write books that relate on a human level because I just know that all the stories that resonated with me, they didn't just have the cool action moment or whatever. It was a
Hmm.
character that I said, there's a little of me in there, or I relate to that, or they hit you emotionally.
Hmm.
And I
Hmm.
want to get back to storytelling that writes people in a way that is realistic. Like tragedy, she doesn't win every fight. She doesn't. She's fallible. She's flawed. She's not a perfect human being. She's got a lot of issues going on, inner demons. Um, and I'm proud of that because no matter what our beliefs are as humans, at the end of the day, we all just want to feel that we're valid. We want to
Hmm.
feel significant. We want to feel like this world is for some reason. We're going through what we're going through for a reason. And I
Yeah.
think those are the things that connect us that we've lost because we're busy focusing on other stuff. So I
Hmm.
like to write characters that focus to the root of what we all really are deep down. No matter how we react to a situation, that feeling is still there.
Yeah. Yeah. Very well said. And I love that theme, the connection that people can have if they're willing.
And I have so many titles. If I could, I'm sorry, I don't mean to talk too much, but there's one other thing is I have a graphic novel called Papa. It's 110 pages. My father, he's 77. This is a man that was bench pressing 165 pounds about 6 months ago.
Hmm. Hmm.
But he's been diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, multiple tumors. Prognosis isn't great. And I wrote this. I had a tumultuous relationship up until about 3 years ago, and then him and I really started having a relationship. And I wrote this story and called Papa, not realizing it was really about him and me in a way. Um, and when I presented him the script, he read it and he asked me, he goes, "Is this about us? Is this about me?" And I was like, "You know what? I guess it is." And
Hmm.
he asked me if it'd be possible to put it into production before it's too late. And I'm going to try. The problem is it'll be like $15,000 to make this book because it's 110 pages, and I don't think Kickstarter is going to give me 15 grand. I don't think people are going to come out in droves like that. So I'm trying to find ways to make some money to lower the goal. But early reviews love it. They say it's like a golden age book. It's a true hero book. It's not dark like today's stuff, and it's got twists and turns. The dialogue's well written. It's got a human story. Again, you write from what you know.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I would really love to get Papa in my father's hands while it's possible. So yeah, that I have a sign up link for that too. I have like 8 sign up links right
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
now.
if people want to find those links and if they want to follow along, where's the best place to go?
I have to update my website. So I would say if you follow me on Facebook at Phillip Russertt, that's the best place to go. I'm at my 5,000 max friends with Facebook, so you'd have to follow it, not friend it.
Hmm.
Um, but I also have Phil Bow Publishing Facebook and Instagram page, and then Phil Russert on Instagram. Because I post there all the time, and you can click the links and see what's going on.
All right. All right. Well, sounds great. Um, and sending the good vibes for all of the publishing that you're
Thank you.
doing, the projects, and I appreciate the work you're doing. Anything that we've missed, any titles that you want to close with, or anything like that that you would want listeners to know about?
just I just want to say, and I don't want this to come across as like bitter or anything, but I've noticed a trend now that the indie community has switched to collecting covers, what I call cartoon porn, things like that. And I don't begrudge, people should buy what they enjoy, and those people who sell that, congratulations on your success. But if comics are going to continue to survive and exist as a medium as they've been, we have to get readership back. So if you're a reader and maybe you're tired of what's in mainstream, maybe you're not interested in the collectible market, or maybe you're interested in all of it, I would ask that you give Philbo Publishing an opportunity, because we really do write stories that resonate, that entertain. I don't use them as a soapbox for my opinions on any socio-political or anything. I'm not regurgitating another Superman tale,
Hmm.
etc. And I'm not just trying to peddle something to get your money. I'm someone that comics helped me a great deal in a very, very crappy childhood, excuse my language. And they matter to me. And stories matter, because stories, when we're all long and gone, whether it's Shakespeare or Stephen King,
Hmm.
stories will be forever part of history in a way, right? And they will forever resonate with the newest generation that's introduced to it. I mean, I'm still watching Tom and Jerry cartoons.
Hmm.
They stay with us when they're written well, when they matter, and those are the stories that I'm looking to write, and I believe I'm writing. So whether it's a $6 PDF or the $10, $12 book, if you want to read quality stories and if it matters to you that you want stories that touch you again, that resonate with you, characters that you can relate to, that you can root for and you can feel for when they fall, Philbo Publishing is a good place to start.
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, I'll make sure to have a link that pops up if people want to check that out, and it'll be in the show notes. And Philip, thank you again for the creative space, for sharing stories, and for the time.
Thank you for hearing me ramble.
It is all good. It is all good.